Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay, and characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta, beep-a-da, boop. Skim, milk, rat, fleek, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
That's most definitely what's up.
Time to play the game.
Yeah. Hey. Alex and Barfroy. Yeah. Yo, gather around the hookah, light up that shisha glow. EA just got scooped by the Saudi fund, yo, 55 below. Public investment fund, riding in a camel caravan, taking battlefield private now with sandstorm in the plan. Remember SimCity disasters, build a skyline, watch it crash. Now with PF cash, they'll build a hold of that empire in the flash. Madden NFL, you used to draft a squad for free, but now it's oil baron known as pay to win the Lombardi trophy. Loot boxes spinning like a Sufi dancer in the night. Desert winds howling, but your wallet taking flight. Habibi, EA's gone Arabian, genies granting greed. Censorship bills on the pixels, planning microtransaction seeds. From FIFA to FC, the kicks are getting pricey. Saudi sheikhs in the boardroom turning fun to frenzy. Loot boxes, paywalls, oh what a sight. EA's new jam, pay or perish in the doom delight. Apex Legends dropping high, Battle Royale in the rift. But post buyout, expect loot llamas with a Saudi twist. Open one up, get a camel skin or a burqa for your squad. Or blow 99 bucks on a legend that prays to the odd god. Star Wars Battlefront, lightsabers clashing in the stars. Now Jedi got a fast for Ramadan, no for seals after darks. The Sims build your dream house, but no boozy house party. Censorship squad raids the fridge, halal vibes only hearty hard. Dragon Age, Veil nail guard, flopping like a bad hummus dip. Now they'll veil the dragons too, make them bow and skip the whip. Loot boxes spinning like a Sufi dancer in the night. Desert winds howling, but your wallet's taking flight. Habibi is gone Arabian, genies granting greed. Censorship bills on the pixels, planning microtransaction seats. From FIFA to FC, the kicks are getting pricey. Saudi sheiks in the boardroom turning fun to frenzy. Loot boxes, paywalls, oh what a sight. Here's new jam, pay or perish in the dune delight. Yeah. Word to the wise, gamers in the soak, beware the mirage. Kushner and Silver Lake lurking, turning pixels to a barrage. Used to rage quit over anthems crash, now it's oil crashes we fear. Monetization marching like a Hajj pilgrimage year after year. But hey, maybe next battlefield's got falafel drops and doom buggies. Just don't pray for fair play, cause the genie's all about them Krugerrency. So raise your Toby to the takeover, from Redwood City to Riyadh. EA's the new oasis, thirsty for your cash, mad sad. No more indie dreams, just premium passes to the pearly gates. Loot your soul for a skin or rage delete. Fate's too late, peace out, pixels. May your servers run eternal like the Nile. But if they ban the twerky mode, blame the Saudi style. Habibi is going Arabian, genies granting greed. Censorship bills on the pixels, planning microtransaction seed. From FIFA to FC, the kicks are getting pricey. Saudi sheiks in the boardroom turning fun to frenzy. Loot boxes, paywalls, oh what a sight. EA's new jam, pay or perish in the dune delight. Oh. Yeah.
Hey guys, how's it going? How's it going? You feeling good? I'm feeling good. You vibing? I know I'm vibing. Even with some breaking news like what's happening with EA right now and all the other stuff, it's gonna be a good day and we're gonna have a lot to talk about, so buckle up, my friends. The industry is constantly changing and evolving. Even some of the people that you and I have seen before, even some of the people that previously have had videos go viral and stuff, they're constantly changing and evolving. Like this one, I don't know if you are familiar with the channel Call of Shame. It's quite interesting, but basically Call of Shame was a channel that you've probably seen some videos from. We've even seen some of them on stream, but he would post these videos. He had the blue hoodie design logo and everything. You notice his channel doesn't show up anymore, and I'll explain why in a second. But he used to do all these videos like calling people cheaters and saying this person is hacking in Call of Duty, this person's cheating, this person's doing all of that. Sometimes they were right, I'm sure. Other times they were just saying stuff and getting easy clicks off of it. Well, Carl Jobst, who owes Billy Mitchell a ton of money, he made a video calling out this guy for not having evidence for a lot of his claims of cheating and stuff, and just kind of asserting blindly that people were cheating without a lot of backing. Well, Carl called him out for that, made a video. It did pretty well. Nobody had ever tried calling out Call of Shame before. And let's just say it was so devastating for this person. They announced that they are officially changing their channel to focus on the Gospels of Jesus Christ. They're no longer going to discuss Call of Duty at all. They're shutting it all down, and now they're saying there's enough drama and content in the Call of Duty community to fuel videos for months, but it's steeped in deeply toxic and demonic influence. Bro got flamed so hard, he literally is pivoting to I guess, like evangelical channel now. I don't know, man. I've never seen anything like this, where literally one video comes out being like, hey dude, you should have more sources and more evidence before you call people cheaters. He's like, demons. He's out, man. It's crazy. Yeah, apparently he has backed out. His channel is gone. Is this his channel? Is this it now? What happened to this dude? Uploaded Helicod, then just went weird. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what the deal is, but This looks to me like a mental breakdown. I don't know what else you would do. I think this is a different guy. I think this is another Call of Duty dude that flipped and then started doing this stuff. But yeah, anyway, I thought that was funny. You don't see it a lot, but yeah, crashing out like that and do that is pretty interesting. So anyway, that happened. And then speaking of other change in the industry, we of course have some breaking news from EA and EA's side of things, which we can talk about because it literally is breaking news. Before we get into that real quick, Beautiful Joe, thank you for the sub with Prime, my friend. Appreciate you, my friend. Bro sounds like a KCD NPC. Jesus Christ be praised. Speaking of KCD, you see this? So I can say this now that the event's over, okay? KCD Fan Fest, Fort Malashov, very cool. I was so freaking jet lagged. Okay, back up. Do you guys have t-shirts that you wear just like as pajama shirts, like when you're going to bed? I have one t-shirt. It's a very nice like Lululemon t-shirt, except I wore it one day when I was gluing Warhammer models together and I got super glue on it, like literally right at the belly button. So when super glue gets on those shirts, like the shirt, the fabric or the strands or whatever, like get all locked and rock hard, and then they chip, and then you end up with holes in the shirt. So I have one really nice t-shirt that I don't have the heart to throw away because it's a very nice t-shirt. The problem is it just has like a tear and a hole like right about at the belly button from that super glue. So it's my PJ shirt, or one of them. And so when I packed for going to Prague, I packed a pajama shirt to sleep in the hotel, and I put it in my luggage. When I arrived, I had been traveling for like 30 hours or something like that. So I was already very sleep deprived. And I showed up, I ran up to the hotel room, dropped my bag off, and I was going to change my outfit before going to KCD Fan Fest. I was so sleep deprived, I didn't realize that I had grabbed my PJ shirt that had the hole in it. So I went to Fort Malashov for KCD Fan Fest wearing a shirt that had a little bitty hole in it right at my belly button. Didn't realize. And I started walking around and everything was like, I didn't realize. Until at one point I made a comment where I was like, a smoked pretzel with cheese? That sounds delicious. And I realized I had messed up. So I slid my bag in front of me on my chest to try and cover it up. And I went to the merch stand and found this shirt, got this shirt, and I swapped into it and it was fine. But yeah, anybody who saw me at the event and was like, wow, Luke looks homeless. I swear to God, I didn't mean to wear the shirt with a hole in it, okay? I didn't mean to. It was an honest mistake. Now I can laugh about it. In the moment, I was kind of petrified, but yeah, that's my story and why this shirt saved me. That's what it is. Yeah. He looks comfortable. It's one of those moments. It's like, no, I swear, I'm not like digging around in my belly button, which is why there's a hole. I'm just saying, like, I was gluing Warhammer figures and then they got super glued. I don't know which is like a better explanation, which makes me sound like more of a neckbeard, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's good airflow. Yeah, it's good airflow for travel. Yeah, anyway, so there you go. A little bit of Luke lore for you. There you go. Yeah, dude, the moment when I realized they just flew me across the planet to come to this event. I'm here meeting fans and developers, and I wore a shirt with a hole right on the belly button. I cannot believe it. Yeah, it was quite the moment. I don't think anybody noticed because the bag, I swept that in front and it covered it. It was fine. Then I got the shirt, but yeah, it was a moment of panic. And I have the excuse that I was horribly sleep deprived. That's at least what I'm going with. You know? No, guys, I swear it's super glue. Yeah. So now, whenever I travel, I'm never wearing or bringing a shirt like that I could accidentally wear. Not risking it. I can't be trusted. Anyway. Let's see. You saw Lord of the Rings games in development similar to Hogwarts Legacy. Yes, I do have that pulled up. We're going to talk about it because yes, it is true. There is allegedly a new Lord of the Rings game in development that is being prepped, and they're about to kick off. And guess what? It's also being funded by the Abu Dhabi Investment Office out of the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. So Saudi Arabia is going crazy. The UAE is going crazy, throwing money at this stuff. There's a lot of Middle Eastern money flowing into entertainment, and we're going to talk all about it. You ready? It's going to be good. Mr. Mo, by the way, thank you for the 22 months. Gee whiz. Praise be to the TODD. Is it double? Yeah, it's double D. For some reason, when I thought double D, I was like TODD. That's made up, but no, you're right. It's Toddward Howard. He is 16 times the man as me, as all of us, really. Voice prophetic, his words poetic. When he speaks, he fills our hearts with glee. Praise be to Todd. Yes, may Todd's detail shine upon you and give you load screens. Amen. Luke's candle addiction is so severe, he's homeless. Thank you, Logan. Sometimes it gets bad. Should we break in a new candle? Our Todd candle is almost gone, dude. The walls, it's doing the thing where like the walls cave in. Todd's Spice Pumpkin is not long for this world. Should I get a new candle? Also, I hung the swords up. I don't know if you noticed, but I hung the swords. Let's do... Oh, this is an old one from last year. Banana pumpkin scone. Let's do that. Let's do that before we start talking about this. All this fun stuff. Ooh. Oh, yeah. If you don't know, I'm an addict to candles, but I'm a thrifty addict. So I only buy my candles. I like fall scents like pumpkin and cloves and things like that. And so I will order the candles I like in bulk after the season ends. So I will like go onto Yankees website and I'll order like a dozen, 20, 24 candles at the same time in like the spring when all of it goes like 70% off, 80% off, because they're just trying to get rid of the inventory. So I don't pay even close to retail for these, but I bulk up and then I fill up the bottom shelf of this thing and it's all candles. So there you go. That's where your super chats are going. Hate to tell you. Wilfredo, thank you for the 2. You think there's ever going to be a Starfield 2? Yes. I think the odds are decently high that we may be getting like a Starfield 76. I know people think I'm crazy for that, but Todd refuses to say that the next game is Fallout 5. Why wouldn't he just say that if it was? He had no problem saying that Elder Scrolls 6 was next. Why won't he say that? That's weird. We also know that he and Emil say that Starfield is right next to the Elder Scrolls and Fallout for them. It's one of their, as in their own words, one of their 3 pillars of the company. And what have they done for the other pillars? They've made Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76, which is basically Fallout Online. I think the odds are decently high that they will try to make like a Starfield Online game to hold over all of the Starfield fan until the next game comes out in 2057. So, yeah. And if you doubt me, do so at your own peril. That's what I'm saying. All of him. Yeah, all of him. All of the countless fan that's out there. Yep. You're damn right. You're damn right. Do you think Space Marine 3 will come out in the next 5 years realistically? Yes, I have it on good authority that they're keeping the scope a little more constrained. They're not going to try to do like a $200 million thing. So yes. Yes, I think it's definitely out within 5 years. Do you plan on doing a live react to Star Citizen Direct? Should be 2 to 2.5 hours. I'm from CZ. Gotta say, you said Malashov correctly. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I loved the Czech Republic when I was there. I thought it was really, really cool. And honestly, I was telling my friends this. the Czech Republic just in general and all the people there are such bros. It's awesome, dude. It's like there's none of this like hoity-toity stuff. Like you go to Germany, at least when I went to Germany, it felt like everybody was looking down on you for speaking English and like they all kind of hated you. And it was very like, I don't know, there was just a certain air of like tension in the air where everybody was like just ready to, maybe it's like confrontation. I felt like everybody was like on edge. You go to the Czech Republic and everybody's like, sup, bro? You want a beer? Like it was awesome. It was great. Yeah, everybody there was wonderful. In fact, the only people we had trouble with were a group of very rowdy British boys that were out there for some reason in Prague. It was very, very weird. But yeah, it was specifically, they said that they were from Cornwall. And they like were breaking glasses in a restaurant. They were trying to like get up to like next to some of the women in the restaurant and Luality, who was with us. It was very uncomfortable. It was really, really bad. Not saying all British young men from Cornwall are like that, but every single one I've ever met, they were the only ones. But still. Usual suspects. Well, some of the people we were there with were from England, and they were like, "Yeah, that's kind of the stereotype." And yeah, sorry. It's like, oh, I never thought of that. The Cornish, is that what they call them? The Cornish, or are you gaslighting me? Calling somebody from Cornwall Cornish sounds made up. I'm not sure. Is that the real term? Okay. I don't know. I'm not from Cornwall, innit? I don't know. Cornish is also their language. Oh, there you go. Anyway, I really liked Prague. I really loved it, and it was a very, very good time. And the city's beautiful and clean and maintained. I was trying to explain to a friend of mine, who is in Los Angeles, and if you've ever been to LA, trash. It's just kind of trash. I've never met somebody who lives in LA who's like, I love LA. Everybody who lives in LA is like, it sucks here. Like everybody hates it, but it's like dirty and it's overrun with drugs and there's a huge homeless crisis. It's like, it's a whole thing. And I was trying to explain to them. I was like, no, I went out in like to Prague. And then I was in the week before that, I was in Copenhagen. And I was like, in both places, they have these beautiful old buildings, centuries old. And they have like beautiful stone cobbled streets. And I was like, dude, they steam clean the roads. Like I literally went out walking early in the morning and like they had street cleaners, but they were steam cleaning the stone with the brush and everything. And another truck was following behind it to like vacuum up whatever. I was like, we can't even get like a trash pickup in LA. Like they'll leave garbage piled up there for weeks. But then in these other cities, they're like steam cleaning the streets to keep them clean. It was like stunning. Big difference in terms of like the pride that they take in their city, you know. Huge difference. When I was in LA, like you literally had to step over people who were passed out on the streets drunk or on drugs because like the government won't do anything for them. They'll just leave them there. It's like, have some empathy, let them overdose. It's just so insane to me. It's like, maybe help them, don't leave them on the streets, but no, yeah, leave them there. That's what makes sense. Anyway, I could ramble about that a lot because I volunteered at homeless shelters and so many of those people just genuinely need help. They're not in their right mind. It's not empathetic to leave them overdosing on the side of the street. And it's so frustrating me that that's like the general policy of some of these cities. It's like, yeah, just leave them. That's what's really kind. It's like, no, you're literally like leaving them to rot. It's crazy. Anyway, not the point of the stream. Sorry. Anyway, we're going to talk about all of this stuff because there is breaking news with EA. We're going to go through that. It's going to be a good time. Logan, thank you for the 5. Regarding your Mass Effect 5 video, I don't think Devar maybe is all high because Failguard was so effing awful. 2 out of 10 F- that a 5 to 10 C average game is going to look like a masterpiece. I'm trying to translate. I'm sorry. Everyone's like, what? Okay, I don't think it's all high because Failguard was awful. Game is gonna look like, oh, so you're saying in regards to Mass Effect, it's gonna look like a masterpiece compared to Veilguard because of how bad Veilguard was. I mean, I think the big thing with Mass Effect, the next Mass Effect, is that I think it's going to be a lot smaller than people are thinking it will be. It's not, I don't think it's going to be on the scale of like, certainly not a Baldur's Gate. It's not going to be on the scale of even like a Mass Effect 3. I think it's going to be much tighter and smaller, and they're going to try to get the foundation right so that they can expand and do the second and third games bigger and better. Because I don't think EA is going to give them the money to do like, to have 500 people. Like they're down to like 80 or 90 staff right now, and so it's very lean, and so I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as massive as people might think when they think of Mass Effect. Forgive the pun. So I think that it'll probably be pretty solid, but I just don't think it's going to probably match up with a lot of expectations. That's going to be the hardest thing for them, is setting that expectation, because obviously Mass Effect is a huge IP with a lot of expectations laid on it. Stefan, thank you for that one. Not sure if you said anything on it yet. What do you think will happen to BioWare now that EA was privatized? Oh, baby, we're going to talk about it because we actually got details. When we talked about this on Friday, when it was still just a rumor from the Wall Street Journal report, there was a lot of doubt over specifics of the deal. But now we actually have details on how the deal is broken up, how much of it is debt, how much of it is being leveraged, and I'll break that down because it's very interesting. Yeah, like 36% of it is debt. Yeah, we'll go through it. I have a whole thing. I just wanted people to get in, because if I do this segment at the very moment we start the stream, then there's going to be people who come in right after and be like, did you see EA just got sold? And it's like, yeah, we just talked about it. So I'm letting people filter in. But yeah, we're going to get to it in just a second. I'll just catch up here on these. Real quick, thank you for the follows over on Twitch, by the way. Thank you. New owners, who knows? Yeah, and well, I think we can take some interesting tidbits from the details of the deal now that we have them. And I'm much more worried now than I was on Friday. On Friday, I was like, oh, we'll see what happens. It's probably not going to be that. I did not think they were going to have $20 billion of the deal leveraged, but we'll talk about it. Let's see. Joshua, thank you for that. I am Cornish. We call it Cornell, Cornish for Cornwall. Oh, okay. Promise we are not all rowdy. It's mainly farms and beaches down here. I've heard it's beautiful. I've heard it's beautiful. I'm not sure. I actually don't know off the top of my head. When my wife Nikki, she went to a study abroad. Like, was it senior year of college or junior? It was one of the two. But she went out there and she spent time in London. She went all up the coast and everything. So she might have been to Cornwall for all I know. I'll have to check with her. She went to, what's the other one that's on the West Coast that's really popular for vacationing? There's like a very popular vacation spot on the West Coast. And I'm blanking on the name of it. But yeah, she might have been up there. I've heard it's beautiful. Yeah. Maybe we'll go visit and we'll run into those guys again. It was so weird. Like, we were in Prague. He was so drunk. He was basically asking us if he could hop in our Uber with us to get dropped off in Cornwall. I was like, bro, no. Like, for one, that's not how Ubers work. You can't just hop in and be like, drop me off over there. You're not in the right country. Like, what are you talking about? He was gone. It was crazy. Caleb, thank you for the 10. Yeah, but can they put a man on the moon or drop 3 30K bombs on the same spot from a bomber that launched from across the world and is invisible to every means of detection? Checkmate Europores. USA. That is true. That is true. We do have better bombs. We do have that. So there's that. The Soviets have some bigger bombs. I'm sure we don't even know what we have, but if you have ever looked up the Tsar bomb, dude, that one will give you nightmares, dude. What that bomb was capable of. It was like the biggest nuclear explosion they ever tested. And it's like insane. It's insane. If you want to look it up and like have a mental breakdown at what's possible with that stuff, look it up. It's pretty horrifying. And then Logan, thank you for the 5. Apologies for my super chat. Apparently I had a brain aneurysm. Dude, sometimes I'll do that too. I'll do voice to text because I don't like typing out on the small phone. And you'll look back at it, you hit send, you don't even think about it. And then somebody replies, what? And you look back at it and it's not even close to what you were trying to communicate. Yeah, I totally get it. Don't worry. Hannah, thank you for the 4 months. 4 months already. Time flies. You're damn right it does. You're damn right. Time flies when you're having fun. It sure does. Okay. Cody Lee, thank you for the membership, by the way. Thank you. I don't think they made a Tsar bomb for use outside of testing. Yeah, Loxy, I agree. And the other thing is, and nobody ever talks about, is that it's ridiculously expensive to maintain nuclear arsenals. Very expensive. Like, because not only does the shell casings, do they degrade, but also like the uranium or whatever you're using starts to degrade and break down. Like, it is very, very expensive to maintain a massive bomb. It's not like you can just keep it locked away in a bunker and it's fine. Like, you have to do a lot of very expensive maintenance work on those bombs every 6 months. And so it's not as simple. Like, you can't just build a massive bomb and be like, okay, we'll use it maybe one day. Like, no, it's very expensive. So it's not really worth the trouble. But again, we don't know what we have, and there's a reason, because they don't want people to know what they have. So who knows? Cadisco, thank you for the 6 months. Much love from Europe. Much love, my friend. I want to go back to Europe, honestly, after doing the crash course. I really enjoyed it. I was just telling Nikki this morning, I was like, we should do like an impulsive trip. Just go out there for a week. It's really not that big of a deal if you have money to do it. But like, it doesn't have to be this crazy thing. It's like shockingly easy to just buy a plane ticket and go over there. Like, a lot of the visa stuff is non-existent over there. They're very welcoming to tourists. So it really doesn't have to be that big of a deal. I read that one. Cody, thank you for the membership, by the way. Did I read that one out? I don't remember. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. K Hunter, thank you for that one. If you could forget one game so you could play it again, what game would that one be? Either The Witcher 3 or Red Dead 2. I think those are the two ones. My instinct is Witcher 3, if I could experience that one again. Ooh. Third place, yeah, Breath of the Wild. That one clicked with me hard. Elden Ring's a good one too. Damn it, Jax. That's good. That's really good. Ooh. Yeah. Elden Ring would be great to re-experience for the first time as well. If I had to pick one. Wow, Baldur's Gate's also good. Damn it! If I had to pick one, I'm locking it in. Red Dead 2. Locking it in. That's what I'm doing. I feel like The Witcher 3, I can appreciate a ton now, and every time I play it again, I see another little something I didn't see before. It makes me appreciate it even more. But re-experiencing Arthur's story from scratch, I think would be fantastic. So that's what I'm saying. Underrated, but Undertale. Ooh, that's a good choice. Yeah, that's a good choice. Mass Effect, if I could choose a series. Oh, Loxy, that's a good one if you wanted to just scrape it from your mind. Yeah, I could totally see that. Concord. You wouldn't be wiping very much from your memory. I'll tell you what. AC Odyssey for me. Oh, I could see that being a good one. Yeah, just starting from absolute scratch there. There is, again, people meme on Assassin's Creed all the time. I get it. It's funny. I still stand by what I've said for years. At this point, since whatever that was, 2018 when it came out, I still think AC Odyssey is a shockingly good fantasy adventure RPG. Not a masterpiece. Not perfect. And certainly not a very good Assassin's Creed game at all. But as an adventure, like fantasy RPG, quite good. Quite good. Loxy, gee whiz. Golly. Loxy gifted 20 subs to people over on Twitch. And because of the September thing that they're doing over on Twitch, Valorant shows is giving out an additional 5 subs to the community for 25 total subs. And for that, you get a little dance. It's just for you. There you go. Thank you, Loxy. Very generous. Very generous. Thank you so much. And welcome everybody who just got a sub over on Twitch. Get in our Discord. Get your ass over to our Discord. Connect your Twitch account to your Discord account. Get in the Discord. Join us. It's awesome. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful time. Okay. Okay. Let me finish catching up on these real quick while those play out. Ooh, Cyberpunk would be a good one also. Let's see. Jack, thank you for the 5. Monster Hunter got another update. Still no performance update. Plenty of cosmetics though. Oh, I'm sure. It makes me wonder, like, can they just genuinely not fix it? Is that the problem? Like, can they genuinely not fix it? Like, why is it still having a problem? It's crazy. Oh, I have a credit card attached. Right. I was expecting to get a QR code for ID. Let's see. Oh yeah. And, Juicy, thank you for the sub with Prime as well. Thank you for getting in there. Thank you. Welcome. Fixing it at this point probably won't do much in terms of players. Well, I think they have to fix it before they do a big expansion. That's the thing, is like they have a big expansion coming, I'm sure, like they had Iceborne for Monster Hunter World. And I think they got to fix performance before the expansion, because if it still has tons of problems when the expansion hits, I think that goes over poorly. Maybe they're waiting to fix it and they're going to do it all in one package with the expansion. I don't know. Seems like a risky thing to try to do it at the same time. I would just fix it and then do the expansion, but maybe they also think that it just doesn't matter because they launched it like this and people still bought it in droves, so seemed to work just fine. And then Christian Gaming, thank you for the €7. Have you seen the very short interview Dan Houser and IGN said where he said he will give a different, longer interview with Lex Friedman? Yeah, so the Dan Houser thing is interesting. Where'd it go? I had a little clip from that. But yeah, Dan Houser, one of the head honchos at Rockstar, he had a couple of very interesting little things. Like, for example, he was asked why Bully 2 never happened, and this is what he said.
Well, you brought up Bully. I would, again, it would be criminal, it would be journalistic malpractice of me to not ask, why did we never get a sequel to Bully?
I think there was just bandwidth issues. If you've got a small lead creative team and a small senior leadership crew, you just can't do all the projects you want. And with certainly how we're structuring it absurd, we're trying to do 2 projects with a fairly small team, and it's really trying to think through that. How can we do that and keep them both moving?
And that's the answer. That's the whole thing. But basically he's just saying they didn't have enough time, money, or resources to do both. And the other piece is, like, I think one of the dangers for a lot of big corporations is thinking that, oh, well, we can just hire more people and then do twice the projects. And I don't think that's true. I don't think you can actually do that. Because that's assuming that the talent and capabilities will scale. I think that's the trap that Bethesda fell into. You can hire more people, you can get a satellite studio, but that does not mean that you're going to keep the same company culture or the same quality of work up. And so Rockstar has been very tactical, slowly expanding over the course of 20, 30 years. And so now they're a huge studio that's able to do basically one gigantic project at a time. And that works for them. But I think if they were to split and try to do Bully 2 and Red Dead 2 at the same time, or Bully 2 and GTA 6 at the same time, I just don't think that really works with what they try to deliver. So they decided not to do that. And I think it's clearly worked out for them quite well, but it means that we don't get all of those projects that we want, and they don't get to make all the projects that they want, which makes sense. I know some people were like, oh, it's like this guy. It's a very corporate answer. I'm not even sure if it is. I think it's just a factual one. Michael said, it's the corporate way of saying he couldn't, or they didn't want to allocate resources necessary to make it happen. They concentrated on their cash cows at the expense of the lesser known IPs becoming dormant. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it literally is just they go where the players are, and if the players are all on GTA, they go to GTA. Like, that's where they're going to go. And if the players all want the big Red Dead 2 type games, they're going to put all the effort and resources there. Because the old saying is, we can do anything, we just can't do everything. It was initially, I always heard it said by Todd Howard. And then I saw a clip where it's apparently from like a motivational speaker from like the 80s. He used to say it all the time. And, which is very interesting because I was like, oh, maybe Todd read that book. That's interesting. But I think it's true. Like, you can do pretty much anything you want if you're Rockstar. It's just, you can't do everything. So you got to pick your battles. And that's what they're trying to do. So, interesting little tidbit. Richard Simmons said that. Maybe he read the same motivational book. I don't know. Maybe Richard Simmons is the one that first said it. Maybe it's a saying that goes back so long that like everybody has said it, and it's not like something you can identify clearly. But yeah, I had always heard Todd say it, and then I saw a TikTok showing this motivational speaker from the 80s saying the exact same thing. I was like, oh, okay. So it's a more common saying than I thought. Interesting. Let's see. Okay. Silent Hill F has sold 1 million copies. Oh, sweet. I'm interested in what the tail is like, but I mean, clearly it got great reviews. Word of mouth was really good too. Okay. And then Killer Gamer, thank you for the sub with Prime, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. Let's talk about this. New segment. Okay. It has happened, fam. It has happened. It's locked and loaded. It is real. EA has posted an official statement describing how they have agreed to sell themselves basically to a group of investors as part of a buyout for $55 billion. And it is specifically a leveraged buyout, which I will explain momentarily. But in practice, what this basically just means is that EA is going to go from being traded on the public stock exchanges, and it's going to be privately held by this group of owners. So it's being taken off of the public trading platforms, and it's going to be privately held. The price that they're offering for it is pretty steep. Right before this news was leaked on Friday, it was trading at a market cap or company value of about $42 billion. All a market cap is if you take the total number of outstanding shares, which are the little pieces of the pie that make up the company. You take all of those pieces of the pie, so you take the whole pie, and you multiply it by the per share price. You get the market cap, which should, in theory, give you the value of the company based on what investors believe. And so the moment they revealed this, of course, the valuation goes up because they're saying they're willing to pay $55 billion for it. Now, on Friday, this leaked because of a Wall Street Journal article where basically somebody leaked and said, oh, yeah, they're going to totally do this, and they're pricing it at $50 billion. Today, it was revealed that it's actually $55 billion, which is wild. I think EA is a very well-run company financially. If you look up like most company like investment breakdowns, like Morningstar, for example, is a big one. So like Morningstar, there we go. Morningstar will do breakdowns of companies and rate them like by how good they are. And one of the common things that they'll have on a Morningstar report or other companies that do similar ratings is like stewardship. Do they have an example of this? They'll say like, oh, how do we rate their stewardship? Which is basically just a fancy way of saying how good is the C-suite management. And EA has always had outstanding stewardship. They have very capable leadership financially. And from Wall Street's perspective, they're very, very good. And so I've always thought that it was a solid company. I didn't always like their products, but I always thought they were a solid company. I don't personally think that they're worth $55 billion, but that's, you know, whenever you take a company off of the public exchanges and you're buying them out, you have to offer a premium price in order to get that to happen, because basically the board of directors votes on it. And typically the board represents the biggest shareholders. And if you're going to take it off the market, you have to be able to say that this is in the best interest of the shareholders. And in this case, I think it is, because I don't think the stock was going to reach this price anytime soon. So I think it does make sense for the shareholders. Now, what is specifically being offered, to get into the nitty gritty specifics, is a leveraged buyout where they're going to sell themselves to Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Investment Wealth Fund and a pair of private equity firms in a deal that values the company at about $55 billion, marking the largest leveraged buyout on record. And later in the article, they have a breakdown of some other examples, like TXU for $48.4 billion back in 2007, Atlantia bought out by Edizione, I don't know, and Blackstone for $45 billion in 2022. Walgreens Boot Alliance bought out by Sycamore Partners for $39.4 billion. So this will be the largest buyout, leveraged buyout in recorded history. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal, which is why it's not just game outlets that are describing this right now. It's also being discussed by Bloomberg and every other outlet that covers finance. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, along with Silver Lake Management and Jared Kushner's Affinity Partners, agreed to pay $210 per share in cash at 25% premium to where EA traded before the talks leaked on Friday. 25%. What do they see? Where do they think the value is? Because if you're paying that much, that's interesting. It's very interesting. It's like if, I found a house I really like. Looks really, really, really good. One problem, it's a $500,000 house. $500,000 house. But I'm going to pay $625,000 for it. It's like, that's a huge markup. That's a huge premium. What do they see? Why do they think it's worth the premium? Something to think about. JP Morgan Chase & Co. is providing $20 billion of debt, making this the largest commitment for a buyout ever. That's like what, 40%, 30, I think I put it in the calculator. I think it's at 36% of the deal is made up in debt. It's a lot. There's a lot. We'll continue and then I'll offer my thoughts. The private the record-shattering going private sale is the latest sign that the deal boom expected under the administration of President Donald Trump is starting to take hold, as it cemented the most active quarter for mergers in more than 3 years. It also shows the pivotal role that sovereign wealth from the Middle East is increasingly playing in the biggest deals. Electronic Arts, the maker of EA Sports, FC, and The Sims, is selling amid sluggish growth for the $178 billion video game industry after sales swelled during the pandemic lockdowns. The company, which has experienced numerous rounds of layoffs, has been seeking new areas of growth to inspire players who have gravitated towards free-to-play franchises that are continually updated rather than splash out for new titles that can cost as much as $80. The transaction will be funded with cash from the consortium of partners, and Saudi Arabia's private investment fund will roll over its existing 9.9% stake in the company, constituting an equity investment of about $36 billion. The deal comes with a termination fee of $1 billion should it fall apart, according to a company filing. The pact displaces the roughly $45 billion leveraged purchase of the power company TXU in 2007 as the largest buyout on record. It's also one of the largest merger and acquisition deals of 2025 and shows Wall Street's appetite for game-changing mergers despite recession fears and geopolitical concerns impacting the broader economy. Right now, the shares have risen 4.8% Monday morning in New York to 202.73. And as you can see, as they described earlier, their official offer is $210 a share. So that difference between 210 and where it's trading right now, 202, is literally just risk. That's like a literal monetary representation of the risk of the deal not going through. If you remember the Activision Blizzard purchase from Microsoft, as time went by and the deal got further and further along through the regulator stuff, their offer was up here, and over time the share price, it was down here, and then it shoots up when the deal is announced. Regulators say, we're going to oppose it. It drops a little bit more, and this is all literally just because this is the risk involved. So investors don't want to pay or trade it at the max value, what they offered, because there's risk that the deal doesn't go through. And if the deal gets canceled or blocked by regulators, the stock price is going to plummet, you guessed it, probably back down to where it was trading. So that gap is literally just the risk involved. But as time went on and the deal got closer to getting approved, it eventually settled up closer and closer to the initial offer price. And that's what's happening here, is that the $8 gap, $7 gap is basically just the risk involved with it. Other gaming companies like Take-Two and Roblox also gained on the news. The reason for that, it could just be that it's seen as a sign of optimism in the gaming space. So investors are putting more money into the gaming industry because they're like bearish on the games industry. I don't know, however you want to look at it. It could also be totally unrelated. It's just stocks. Stocks. So here's the thing. There's a couple of key points here to take away. For one, the Saudi Arabian investment fund has been throwing money at pretty much anything that they could get their hands on for years. As you can see in this breakdown, they even describe how Saudi Arabia's investment fund will be rolling in the 9.9% stake in the company that they already have. So they already own just under 10% of EA. Oh, did I say bearish? I meant bullish. Embarrassing. So get it? Bear. Okay, anyway. So they already owned a 9.9% stake in the company. They already said, they already owned a huge chunk. And now they're just coming in and they're going to take it off of the public market and take complete control. Now, their historical approach, of course, this is not just the Saudi investment fund, it's bigger than that, but their historical approach has been to be pretty hands-off. Amazingly enough, the Saudi investment fund's goal is to basically take all this money made from oil and then try to diversify their holdings, because the Saudis are not stupid. They know that in 50 years, oil will maybe not be the centerpiece of transportation that it currently is. There's going to be other advancements in energy production. There's going to be pushes from all sorts of global companies towards EVs from a car perspective. And then even with international transport, there's discussions on overhauling a bunch of stuff. So they want to diversify. They don't want to have all their eggs in the oil basket. So they're spending a ton of that money buying little shares of a bunch of different things to diversify their holdings. And so far, they've been very hands-off. They buy a chunk of EA, 9.9%, and they just kind of sit on the sidelines. They don't mess with it too much. They don't rock the boat. And they just want their cut of the pie every time profits come in. Similar to Tencent. Tencent, with a lot of companies, will throw money in it and then just kind of sit on the sidelines until they don't. And when they come in and they clean house, it can get dirty. But with this, initially when the news broke, I was like, honestly, it might not change a whole lot. And when you go and remove yourself from the public trading aspect of corporate existence, a lot of the time it can free up your investments from short-term gains, and you can focus on long-term gains. Because the danger with quarterly reporting of financials and stuff, which is what you're required to do right now in the US. If you're publicly traded in the US, you have to report your finances every quarter, so every 3 months. The danger with that is that it then reworks your entire company, where you need to be short-term focused, because every 3 months you have to justify what you've been doing to investors. You can't tell them, yeah, we're going to have a pretty rough 2 to 3 years. But in the future will be great. You can't say that. So you constantly are chasing short-term gains and profits over long-term improvement. It's like the classic Apple example where they're like, yeah, we could invest heavily in major technological improvements and product revisions and updates and stuff. Or we could release the same iPhone we've released over and over again for the last 10 years and just charge $100 more for it and make the packaging smaller and put it in some new colors. And then we'll make lots of money and prices will be low. Like it's the same exact thing. It's why Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others, I'm sure, he has said many times that he thinks companies should only have to report financial earnings every 6 months. He's like, break it down to 6 months. You'll still have a good finger on the pulse of each and every company's health, but it'll allow them to be more long-term focused. When you're privately held, though, you have none of those obligations because you don't have to report anything publicly. You're privately owned. So you don't have to tell everybody publicly how you're doing or what's going on behind the scenes. You can just do what you think is best for the company long term. And that is why, like, on Friday when I heard this news, I was like, honestly, it might actually be good for EA to stop being publicly traded. They won't have to chase the carrot of quick returns every 3 months. But then, like, the details of the deal came out with this announcement, and it's now much more worrisome to me. Because $20 billion of the $55 billion deal are debt. 20 billion. That's a lot. Okay? That's a lot of money to owe to a bank like JP Morgan Chase. And they're also paying a 25% premium on what professional investment funds and firms thought was a fair market price. On Friday morning, the stock was trading at an effective market cap of like $42 billion. That's what investors thought the company was worth. And then in the matter of hours, because this news breaking, now it's being priced close to $55 billion. So where do the investment firms that are buying this out, where does the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund, where does Kushner's Affinity Partners and Silver Lake, where do they see that like 10 to 13 billion dollar gap? And that's not even factoring in the cost of the debt, right? Because you're paying a $13 billion premium, basically overpaying by $13 billion, 25%. And then you're also buying it with a lot of debt. And you don't do that unless you think there is some value other people are not seeing. So my question is, what is that value? Where do they, like, what do they see that professional investors on Wall Street did not see? Where is it? What do they see? And this is why I'm worried. Because I think, you know, in the context of what we're discussing, the only thing they see is some chunk of change that's untapped right now that values the company higher. What is that chunk of change? It's probably more monetization opportunities. It's that they don't think the company is utilizing their IP as well as they could. It's that they think that they could maybe push monetization further on the established IP they have, whether it be Madden or FC. It's like, you don't buy out a $55 billion company and overpay just like, You don't do that. You're buying it at $55 billion because you think it's worth $55 billion. Again, the example I gave earlier is like, you see a $500,000 house. Cool. That's an awesome house. Looks beautiful. I think, you know, with the number of bedrooms it has, it's looking great. But then you come in and you offer $625,000 for it when everybody else agrees it's worth $500,000. You're overpaying by 25%. And let's say you're taking out a mortgage at a time where debt is not free like it was during COVID. You're paying a pretty hefty interest rate on it, I'm sure. Why do you think it's worth $625,000? Like, where is that $125,000 gap coming from? What is the opportunity that you think you see that no one else sees? That's what I find interesting about this, because they see some big opportunity that nobody else seemingly can see. And there might be an opportunity there, and this ends up being a phenomenal deal and they make tons of money on it. It might also just be a mistake, because there's plenty of examples of companies doing buyouts of other firms and then it ends up being just a total disaster, and it doesn't work at all. So it happens a lot. And it's some people, yeah, I see you saying, well, the Saudis have they have the royal money, so they are the type of people to massively overpay for things. I mean, I think in the context of Saudi Arabia's investment pursuits, they are sharks. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They know what they're doing. They're some of the most prolific and also consistent investors worldwide. And they have deep pockets for sure, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're just throwing money at stuff that doesn't make sense. They see some opportunity here, some opportunity. So I find it interesting. As far as I can tell, EA, solid business. You can make money on it. I don't know where you make money on it, overpaying by 25%. And then also taking out a crap ton of debt to do it. So here's the other possibility, okay? Because there's two sides of every equation, right? There's the assets and then there's the liabilities on the other side and the equity and everything. And in this case, it's possible that they see an opportunity, not just in increased revenues to make up some of that gap, some of that $13 billion gap. They're like, oh, we can make more money if we push monetization here, here, and here. It's also possible that they think that they can cut costs to increase the profit margin by downsizing, by doing layoffs, restructuring, and stuff like that. That's also a major component of it too. So after seeing how much debt they're bringing on to get this deal done and the crazy premium they're buying already, like the $50 billion price tag was a good bit too much. Seeing $55 billion, I'm like, what are we doing? And I think that the odds have skyrocketed, that they probably are going to do a lot of restructuring after this. There's added questions and concerns over like censorship and stuff. Are they going to allow for anywhere near, like, Saudi Arabia's not big fans of gambling. Really not big fans of gambling. Are they going to allow for like the loot box stuff to happen? Are they going to do that? Or are they going to shut that down? And it'll be like a good thing to censor. It's like excessive gambling in video games. Or are they going to censor all of the other stuff where all of a sudden in every EA game, it's just like super censored to adhere to their guidelines? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't think anybody knows. But just on a financial side of things, financially, I don't see how this deal makes sense. They are very smart. They're very capable investors. And as I've said it before 1,000 times, typically in business, if something just does not make sense, it's because you're missing a piece of the puzzle. And in this case, I think we're missing the piece of the puzzle that makes this make sense. Sometimes it is just delusional and it just doesn't make sense and they're just throwing money at something, like some of these AI deals that are happening where you're just like, what? It's like that one AI firm that got valued at like over $1 billion, and it turns out the entire AI that they had was just a call center in India, and it was just people pretending to be robots, basically responding to prompts. It's like totally fake. Like sometimes it's just stupid stuff like that, but in most cases, especially when $55 billion are on the line, you're missing a piece of the puzzle if it doesn't make sense. And in this case, I think we're just missing a piece of the puzzle. They see something that we don't see and that no other investors see. And that's really bizarre. Numbers are made to go up. Yeah. But it's also why it's so interesting, because right now is, by almost every metric, a terrible time to do something like this. Like, debt is presumed to get cheaper in the next 2 years, especially as we most likely head into a recession and rates start getting cut more aggressively. So debt's about to become cheaper. So why do this right now? it's also like the video game industry's growth has slowed to an absolute crawl, and by some metrics is shrinking. So why are you spending $55 billion on a company? Like, you're paying a premium for the company. Like there is some huge component that we don't see that they do. And I find that very interesting. I find it exciting because I'm like, I want to know what they see. I want to know. I don't know what it is because I don't think it makes sense, but there's something they see that excites them and makes them think that this is worth paying a crap ton for. And it's very interesting. They don't have to make money on the investment. Saudi investment fund is too big to fail. They are westernizing. Well, that is a component of it. They want to just get money in Western companies. Absolutely. The other piece is that Saudi, but following in that vein, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is a major part of this. Mostly, it seems, because they already own 9.9% of the company. So they already had billions, like what, $4 or $5 billion in the company before the deal even was announced. So they had a huge stake in it. They had their foot in the door. They could go and call the CEO. I'm sure they were on his speed dial as a major holder of the company. But there's also other players here, like Silver Lake and the Affinity Partner Group. And those are people that are not just sitting on oil money, and they are making very tactical investments. So what do they see? What does Silver Lake see? What does Affinity Partners see? What do they see? Because maybe Saudi Arabia's public investment fund can eat a loss and can take this, even if it doesn't really make sense. But what do the other partners in the deal see that gets them excited about it? I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't affect Battlefield 6 poorly. I think it mainly is just going to probably be reflected in a lot of the underperforming titles will get canceled and shut down. I think they're going to do major restructurings and layoffs. I think they're going to really push for probably a good amount of contracted work. And they're going to streamline a bunch of stuff. And I mean, if anything, this type of thing, I think, is very bad news for like a BioWare. Because by every metric, BioWare doesn't make sense right now. It just doesn't. They have released 3 back-to-back-to-back flops that have lost major chunks of money. By no standard in the games industry would any other studio still be open at this point. Any other company would have shut them down after the first flop, certainly the second flop. And the idea that they're open after a third flop is insane. So if I worked at BioWare, I mean, I'd be pretty worried right now. Not celebrating that or anything. I feel for the guys over there working on Mass Effect, but that's just the fact of the matter. So I think that there's probably going to be a lot more shakeups. And I didn't think that on Friday, but that's because I didn't know that they were going to take $20 billion of debt and pay 25% premium to where it was trading before. I don't see how this makes sense. I am not an investment manager with the Saudi Arabian investment fund, so clearly they are way smarter than I am or ever will be. But in my humble opinion, I just don't see how the maths here. I don't get it. But I'm interested to see why they're trying it. So we'll see. But overall, after getting details, what do I think? Do I think this is good for players? No. Do I think this is good for the people that work at EA? No. And do I think that this ends well for pretty much anybody, even the people buying it? Not really. I don't really see that happening. So, yeah. Sad face emoji. That's what I'm feeling. I think a lot of people are going to be laid off. I think a lot of projects are going to get canned and shut down. And I think the projects that survive will probably see some major overhauls to their monetization to try and increase revenues. And that's not even taking into consideration concerns over like censorship and all of the other stuff that comes to play when you're talking about the Saudi investment fund owning something. So yeah, all together, sad face emoji. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. Yeah, big old red flag. Big old red flag. Let's see real quick. They see Battlefield 6. That's the secret to everything. I mean, it would be funny if they were like, honestly, we just want to buy them out because Battlefield 6 looks so great. That would be genuinely very, very funny. But, I mean, maybe that's the missing piece. Maybe they honestly think that Battlefield, they can grow into a COD competitor and that will justify the premium. Maybe that is genuinely what they think the opportunity is. They're like, hey, we're just going to put billions into Battlefield. That could be it. I mean, you never know. Maybe that's the opportunity they see, as they see COD weakening and they see an opportunity for Battlefield to pop off, and they think that if they get in there now, they could eventually be holding basically, the COD killer, and that would be their game. That could be it. That could be it. Maybe they think Sims is super underutilized. Maybe one of the Saudi royals is like hardcore addicted to the Sims, and he's like, I want a new one, not an update to the old one. Maybe that's it. You never know. You never know. Let's see. Brandon, thank you for the 5. Thoughts on Crimson Desert CE collector's edition waiting for US retailers to be announced? Yeah, dude, I'm surprised it's not out for US retailers either. I thought it looked pretty cool, and I pulled it up because I wanted to see what the statue was like, and I saw it wasn't for sale in the US yet. So that was surprising to me as well. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. I thought it looked pretty cool. W Porter, thank you for the 5. I know we joke a lot about Bungie and Marathon here, but have you seen the Destiny 2 population on Steam is sitting at around 14K active players? I have not looked at it recently. I've not looked at it. I know the people that are into Destiny really are into Destiny and love it and play the crap out of it. It's big for a reason. I mean, there's a reason why Bungie is still discussed so frequently, because they definitely know what they're doing. But we do have something to look at with Bungie here in a little bit, if we have time. So we'll talk about Bungie soon enough. Wyatt, thank you for the 2. Hopefully this doesn't affect Battlefield 6 poorly. Oh yeah, I talked about that. I think it probably, I mean, they might just give them tons of money and find ways to monetize it more. But I think Battlefield is one of the few things EA has that is really looking, it's a huge growth opportunity for them where their sports stuff is kind of stagnated. Let's see. Hey, Luke, is there a difference between the membership of the main channel and the live channel? Do you expect people to pay for both? No, I ask people, if you're going to do membership, which you do not have to, if you're going to become a member on the live channel, because there's a lot more perks and benefits there. I have the main channel stuff turned on still, because some people wanted to double up, but by no means should you or do you need to double up your memberships. Like, there's no double Discord benefit. Like, you're fine. So yeah, if you're gonna be a member, just be a member on the live channel. Hell yeah, get in the Discord. Creatious, thank you for the 5. They see Battlefield 6. That's the secret to everything. Oh yeah, like I said, maybe. And Gary, thank you for the 10. After Kojima does an OD with Jordan Peele, do you think he will do other OD games with horror directors like John Carpenter, James Wan, Sam Raimi? Oh, dude, that'd be cool if he got Sam Raimi to do one. Yeah, my understanding is that's what he's trying to do. Thank you for the 10 pounds, by the way. My understanding is that's what he's trying to do, is he's going to create OD, which is like an anthology series, and then there's a bunch of smaller experiences directed by different people. I think that's what the goal is. And so he'll have the one by Jordan Peele, and then he'll have other ones that, like the one he directs. Maybe he gets like Guillermo del Toro to do one, like all of that stuff. It could be genuinely really, really cool. So I am interested. I'm not sure how it works functionally. Like, will it be that he brings in a director and they direct his team at Kojima Productions and they work on the next one and then he goes and directs something else? I don't know. So I have questions over how it works functionally and like mechanically in the company, but I find it very interesting. But I think that's what they're doing. I think that's the goal. Okay. Cappy, thank you for the sub with Prime over there, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay. Hopefully he survives scanning the ghosts. People are like, he's gone. We don't know where Kojima went. He was scanning a ghost 1 minute and now he's gone. I don't know. Somebody find him. Jimbo, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Some of the largest content creators are also leaving Destiny 2. Some of them I never thought would, like Dato, which is a pretty telling sign. Well, it's just whenever there starts to be a sinking ship, it's like nobody wants to be on it. And I think even if you love Destiny right now, there's not a whole lot of reason to be excited for the future. Like, the whole reason that Sony bought Bungie was because at the time they had Destiny 2, and the hope was Destiny 2 was like slowly fading out and the numbers were dropping, but that's normal in the late life cycle of a game like that. But they had also a brand new IP, 2 new brand new IP projects, I believe it was, at the time that were in production. One of them was like canceled and then rebooted with a separate team at a different studio, but with a lot of former Bungie employees, and they kind of splintered it off, moved it over there, and that's still in production somewhere. I think they call it like the Gummy Bear Project or something, I forget. And then the other big project that was supposed to basically replace Destiny 2 and become the next big thing is a little project called Marathon. And we all know how that's going. And I think even if Marathon was really good, I find it shocking that they think that could replace Destiny 2 on that scale. Like, I just don't see it. And I've said it 1,000 times. I feel like such a boomer. I don't see why they think extraction shooters are going to be the next big thing. They honestly believe that just like how they kind of brought the looter shooter MMO kind of thing with Destiny 2 to console, they think that if they bring the extraction shooter genre to console on the AAA side of things, that will do the same thing. It'll be effectively the same thing. That they will ignite a new wave of interest and they'll pop off and it'll be like Destiny all over again. And I just don't see it. I don't see the interest there, you know? Like, I just don't see it. But they're confident about it. They're putting a lot of money in it. For sure. Yeah, did you see Kojima wants to scan a real ghost for OD? Yeah, that's what we were talking about. It's I don't even know what he means by that, but it's the most Kojima thing I've ever heard. It's like, of course he wants to scan ghosts. Of course he does. He's Kojima. I'm shocked he hasn't already. He's probably going to come out and tell us in a year. It's like, oh yeah, there were ghosts in Death Stranding 2. I had them even mocap their own scenes. And then they show the behind the scenes and it's just a pile of motion captured clothing laying on the floor. He's like, it's great. I'll call you Lie Floor Man. we'll put you in the game. Kojima's crazy. You know, he's crazy. Anyway, let's talk about this real quick. Let's see. Dadmutta Zucka. What a name. Thank you for the sub with Prime, by the way. Thank you, guys. Let me show you this. Okay. Are you ready? This is interesting. News, art extraction shooter is funny. I'll give you that. That is funny. Okay. So today we've talked about EA being taken private in a $55 billion deal by the Saudi investment fund. And then we also got today a breaking news story about the Abu Dhabi investment office out of the UAE also funding, allegedly, a brand new massive project. In this case, it's an exclusive from Insider Gaming reporting new The Lord of the Rings game in development. And what they say is a brand new Lord of the Rings game is in development and has been for some time. Sources close to the game tell Insider Gaming that the new title is set to be, at least partially, funded by the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, or ADIO. This funding should roughly equate to $100 million, give or take. They say, quote, the deal has been in the works for since last year and, while not signed yet due to the number of moving parts, is said to be made official soon and could happen as early as next week. Regarding current funding of the game's development, it has been funded internally. As far as what the game will be, sources didn't want to say too much. What was said, however, is that it will be a third-person action game that is designed in a way to, quote, compete with Hogwarts Legacy. In addition to the ADIO, it was said that multiple parties are involved with the game, including Embracer, who of course own the rights to Lord of the Rings, Revenge, and other studios. Embracer has had the rights to the Lord of the Rings IP for video games since 2022, when it paid roughly, or nearly, $400 million for it. It has since licensed out those rights to other companies to produce titles, including the much maligned Lord of the Rings Gollum game, which is still just like such a classic. If you don't remember this game somehow, it's this one. it's this one. Oh God, I forgot about the initial version of him they showed. It's just one of those things where you hear about it and you're like, who said this was a good idea? Like, who wanted to do this? This is crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane that anybody thought that was going to end well. But yeah, they did that. It went horribly. And then they, of course, shut it all down, got rid of the studio and all of that. It was a whole thing. But that's where they've put their efforts since acquiring the rights to the IP. When we contracted, I can't read. When they contacted for a statement, Embracer says that, quote, a general rule, we do not comment on rumors or speculation. Revenge, one studio said to be involved with the game, also declined to comment on rumor and speculation, which kind of tells you everything that you need to know. Revenge, who are they? Let's look them up real quick. Revenge Studio, maybe Game Studios. Let's see. Revenge Game Studio, it's a game development company. Revenge Games, maybe. Okay. LinkedIn sucks ass. Hold on. Okay. Is this it? It's in Bangalore. Is it Indonesia? Okay. Roughly 11 to 50 employees. Our mission is to transform online gaming. Okay. Is this the same one though? Is this the same one? Okay. I'm genuinely not sure. I'm not sure. Revenge Studios. Like, is this the same one? I don't recognize them. Does anybody know what they've done? Does anyone know? Oh, it's India. It's India, not Indonesia. I saw IN and I was like, Indonesia? India makes sense. So I genuinely don't know how this works out. It seems like an interesting idea to spend like $200 million on a brand new massive Lord of the Rings game meant to compete with Hogwarts Legacy. And I've said for a long time, I think Lord of the Rings is one of the most underutilized IP in all of gaming. That and just like Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean, also super underutilized. I think you could do all sorts of stuff with that and it would pop off and it'd be great. But I genuinely don't know how this goes. I think in order to deliver a game that competes with Hogwarts Legacy, you need a pretty capable development studio. And to their credit, Avalanche really blew people away, including me, when they released Hogwarts Legacy. And I made videos about it at the time where I was like, temper your expectations for Hogwarts Legacy, because like Hogwarts Legacy was being made by Avalanche. And their last game before Hogwarts Legacy, do you guys remember what it was called? Do you guys remember? I do. No one. Their last game before Hogwarts Legacy was Cars 3 Driven to Win. Yeah. This was their last game before Hogwarts Legacy. And so I think it was fair to be like, maybe like temper your expectations for Hogwarts Legacy, because this is their last project. And to be fair, prior to this, like they popped off. Or prior to this, I don't think there was a lot of reason to think that they would pop off. But after Hogwarts Legacy, they really exploded and did a phenomenal job. And I had plenty of issues with Hogwarts Legacy. You know, I think that there was plenty of room for improvement. But as far as like going from that to that, it was really incredible how they managed to pull it off. Yeah, as you can see here, games developed. So they had a long history. But prior to that, They did Disney Infinity 2, 3, and then Cars 3 Driven to Win, and then Hogwarts Legacy in 2023. I think everybody had a right to be skeptical and then to pop off to that degree. I mean, it was crazy. It was very, very impressive to see them blow up like that. It was really cool. Oh, dude, they also developed Hannah Montana Spotlight World Tour. Wow. So going from that to Hogwarts Legacy, really impressive. But that's an exceptional case in the sense that it is literally an exception. You know, it's not common. It's not common to go from licensed like Disney games that play like this and look like this to making like the most successful game of 2023 in terms of sales. It's not that common. Not that common. It's pretty hard to do that. But they pulled it off. They managed it. And maybe, you know, in 5 years, we'll be talking about the Lord of the Rings game and be like, can you believe that we hadn't heard of Revenge Studios before this? Maybe we'll be saying that. I genuinely don't know. But I think you have a reason to be skeptical. And all skepticism is about is not accepting a claim until there is sufficient evidence to justify acceptance of that claim. It doesn't mean that you're always like, or it should be clear. It does not mean that you're like a cynical prick. It doesn't mean that you're like, oh, no, it looks like crap. That's not skepticism. That's cynicism. That's you just being a jerk. Skepticism is just being like, I'm not going to get like super hyped or excited or give you my money or anything until I have reason to believe that this game warrants that or deserves that. And in this case, I mean, hearing this story, like Embracer Group has not exactly done a great job with Lord of the Rings. Hate to be that guy, but like literally have not. So like when this was their last outing with Lord of the Rings, call me a negative Nancy, but like I'll withhold my excitement. Okay, so I don't care how much money you throw at it. If this is what they thought was good enough for the IP, I'm going to withhold my excitement. You know. So we'll see. Probably in like 4 or 5 years, but allegedly they're doing that. And who knows? Maybe as part of this announcement, they're going to reveal that they actually have like a really accomplished studio. Maybe they're going to announce, yeah, it's being helped by Revenge Studios, but also we have freaking Larian, and they're making they're the primary developers, and they're going to do a big Baldur's Gate style RPG in the Lord of the Rings IP. If that's the case, I will be hard. Is that the term? I'd be excited, throbbing, maybe, but I'm not. I don't think that's what's going to be announced here. So we'll see. Yeah, moist. That's a good. That too. Horde. Yeah. But anyway, so we might see a new Lord of the Rings game at some point. Okay. Viscous. How dare you? Viscous. Kiko Kuma, thank you for the sub with Prime, by the way. Thank you. Bricked TF up. Turgid. Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see, Luke, what do you think of the new Plague Tale moving away from stealth to action? I'm intrigued. I love Plague Tale. I think they're freaking awesome, and I love the first game and the second game dearly. So I'm genuinely interested. I'm really not sure how it turns out. I just hope they are able to maintain the same like tone and story and pacing and stuff, because that's where they really excel. So I'm interested. I hope that they're not just chasing like action adventure as a genre, because I thought Plague Tale was so unique in what it was, but we will see. Okay. I have about 35 minutes left before I got to go watch the kids, because Nikki has a dentist appointment today. So where do I want to go next? What do I want to tackle? We have a couple of options. Should we talk? I said we were going to talk about Bungie. We should probably talk about Bungie. Probably should do that. We can do that. Okay. Get this set, get that set. Okay. Giveaway, there's one more day for the giveaway, right? September's only 30 days, or is it 31? Yeah, there's one more day. So the giveaway goes through tomorrow. So you have through tomorrow to enter until 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. So yeah, if you've not entered the giveaway, go to my link tree, enter the giveaway. It's free to enter. You could win a PS5 Pro. Just saying. How do you join the Discord, boss? You connect your Discord account to your YouTube or Twitch account, whichever one has the membership /sub. Even if you have a gifted sub or a gifted membership, you can get in the Discord. So you just connect your accounts and it should automatically invite you in. If you have problems with it, sometimes it takes a couple of hours for Discord to process and send you the invite. But if it still is giving you trouble after a few hours, you can just email me at that email that's in the link tree and send me screenshots proving you're a member or sub, and then I can brute force you in. Yeah. No giveaway in Canada though, right? No, we are doing giveaways internationally. The giveaway is international. Just read the rules. I think it's subsection 16. It explains how it works for international winners. Really simple. It's just basically either I use a local vendor to you that is in your country, and then it ships from them so that it works, if it's region locked. So it'll work like that. Or if that's not possible, I basically send you a PayPal sum that's equivalent to the value of the console in USD. And then you buy it however you buy it in your country. That's basically the rule. And then for safety reasons, if you don't have PayPal, there's just you have to be able to use PayPal. That's the limitation. Some people were like, well, couldn't you just send like a cash wire directly? And I asked my accountant if we could do that. They were like, they're like, just don't mess with that. Just use PayPal. Just use PayPal. So I was like, okay, whatever you tell me. Ezra, thank you for the membership, by the way. Thank you. Yeah. So internationally, you should be good. Either using a local provider or PayPal will find a way to hook you up. I realize there are some countries that don't allow PayPal usage, which does suck. But that's the one limitation we have. So there you go. Do not redeem it. Okay. Let's do this real quick and talk about this before we run out of time. Let's talk about Bungie. New segment. Did you hear my stomach rumble? Did you hear that? Dude. That was weird. I didn't eat breakfast this morning because I had to take Romeo to doggy daycare. He has to do a daycare test before he's able to do like boarding, because we're gonna go spend a weekend, and he's gonna spend like a night at doggy like hotel or whatever. And so I skipped breakfast because I had to take him to that because they have to do a test stay where he stays all day, and it's like a temperament test to see if he can play with other dogs and stuff. So I had to take him to his little doggy daycare this morning, and I hit every train and red light on the way, and so I didn't have time to eat before the stream, and you can tell. Anyway, auto-tune tummy grumble. It literally was. Yeah, it's crazy. Does he get a good boy score? I wonder. I'm curious. He's a good boy. He's just jumpy. That's the problem. He's jumpy. And we're working with him on it. We're trying to get it out. But he's like a 6-month-old puppy who weighs 65 pounds, 70 pounds, and is huge. And so it's just like, he's just big. And he doesn't realize how big he is. So he gets himself in trouble sometimes because he's just like, headbutt. It's funny. I don't know if I called it out already because I'm not all here. Ezra, thank you for the membership. If I didn't say that already, thank you. Thank you. What is he? He's a big ol' blue. Whoops. He's a big old blue tick coonhound, and so he's got the big flabby flappy ears. Yeah, he's pretty cute. He's pretty cute. He looks closer to this one. He's got the white spot on the top of his head. He's pretty cute. Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Anyway. He's gonna be loud. Gonna be. When we got in the car and we started driving, he does not like the car. He just starts like chewing on his own words. It's just funny. Okay, new segment for real this time. Okay, so Bellular News, which I always feel like I'm mispronouncing whenever I say it. Bellular News has a video breaking down some of the leaks and some of the discussion over Bungie. Because if you're not familiar, there's a whole lot of drama around Bungie right now. Hello. It's not great. Not only are they embroiled in scandal after scandal with Marathon, but also there's been lawsuits from former head honchos at the studio who claim that they were fired for fraudulent reasons, that they were just fired so they wouldn't have to pay them out stock options and things that they wanted to claim. The CEO of the company just left out of seemingly nowhere after not being that popular in the company. I mean, there were even stories that went viral over him spending, right after mass layoffs at Bungie, people found his account on this website called Bring a Trailer, where you can buy classic cars at auction. And they found him spending millions of dollars on all of these classic cars. And after it was revealed, bear in mind, this is, like you notice, he stopped using this account June of 2024. That's because in June of 2024, it was revealed that this was his account. And so he seemingly got a different account that's anonymous. And so I'm sure he still kept buying these classic cars for millions of dollars. He just stopped doing it publicly because people were calling him out, being like, you're firing dozens of your employees, hundreds of your employees, and you're still going and buying whatever the hell this is. Like, what are we doing, dude? You know, I'm a capitalist at the end of the day. You know, I get it. You should be allowed to spend your money on whatever you want, but I get to make fun of you for it. I bought myself like all of these stupid things like candles. I have an addiction to candles. I think that's beautiful that I'm allowed to spend my money that way, but you guys get to make fun of me for it. Dems to rules, okay? You're like, hey, Luke, go buy something interesting instead of something where you're literally burning your money. That's fair. You get to make fun of me for that. That's how this works. Epic Magic Pants, thank you for the membership, by the way. But the point is, the CEO, not that popular. His own employees kind of hated him for all of this and for running Bungie into the ground, seemingly. And he's just left. And it's been a question. Was he welcome to leave? Was he fired? Was he just retiring coincidentally at the exact time that all of this fell apart? Well, it seems like we actually might have an answer now. Let's see what Bellular News has to say about it. As always, you should definitely hit the like button on his video. Give him a sub as well, because they do fantastic work over there. And let's see what they have to say. Finlay, thank you for the membership, by the way.
Missed this news, but basically it has been a long few months over at Bungie. I mean, just think about it. We've seen the marathon delay, the plagiarism allegations, and now, well, one of the lowest concurrent peaks for a Destiny expansion ever. And sadly for them, the mood is not improving whatsoever. Look at the subreddit and you will find a community that's all but given up. The reason why? Well, because they feel like the devs have given up too. But it might not be the resignation of developers. It might not be the community giving up. No, I think the most telling thing about Bungie's state is that the CEO resigned. Let's begin by looking at some numbers, and I know Steam player counts aren't everything, but they are something, and they don't.
I will say, it is crazy to think where this year started for them and where it ended. At the start of the year, they thought they were about to launch Marathon, which was going to be, again, I've said it before, their goal and their thought was that Marathon was going to be the replacement, basically, for Destiny. That Destiny was on its way out, the numbers were dropping slowly, and that Marathon would come in and basically become the new Destiny. And I know this sounds crazy now, but again, the goal was for Marathon to do for Bungie what Destiny did for Bungie, where they came in and they were the first ones on the console side to do a AAA kind of looter shooter MMO. They wanted to be the first ones to do a AAA console-based extraction shooter that they thought would be the next big thing, that they thought would set them up for the next decade. And we kind of know how this has gone for them. It's not really worked out that way, but that's where they started the year. And at this point, I mean, look at it. The CEO's gone. There's like company morale is in the toilet, and the game Marathon is embroiled in all sorts of controversy. Destiny is falling off way faster. You guys were telling me just before we did this segment that there's a number of big Destiny streamers that have also like walked away from the game and are moving towards other games, which is crazy as well. Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Finlay, thank you for the membership. I don't know if I already said that. I might have already said that. I don't know. It's a blur. I'm hungry. Continuing.
Don't look good for Edge of Fate, which is the latest Destiny expansion. Now, part of that was the final shape giving people an off-ramp, right? The final shape is basically the big culmination of a plotline, so if you're gonna duck out of the game, well, after that really is the best time. I mean, player sentiment was already low, and the state of Bungie, and of course the Marathon debacles, did not help. But here's another problem. Only 22% of critics recommend the new expansion, which is absolutely brutal. And when it did release, well, players found that the new portal system completely reworked the game. And let's just say it was controversial. So Bungie basically added a parallel power system, and as Paul Tassi frames it, this effectively sunsets 80% of the game. There was no point in engaging with anything outside of that system now. And that's because bonuses stack in a way that makes everything else almost irrelevant. Seeing the feedback, Bungie tried to fix complaints, but the fixes would have slowed progression even more, so they had to walk those back. And then, well, they had to come up with something else entirely. And all of this got worse, of course, after the QA layoffs of this summer. So the stuff in-game's been going bad, but I'd say, given the QA layoffs, it's hardly a surprise that in addition to all of that, there is a never-ending tide of bugs, errors, exploits, all that stuff. And for a peek at what's happening, well, look at this. Raid leaderboards that are full of cheaters. There's paid armor that...
Did you see that?
Raid leaderboards that are full of cheaters.
That's crazy, dude. They have the breakdown of players. So, list of the desert perpetual cheaters. Disclaimer, these placements were at the time the leaderboard is being updated. Let's see. Obvious signs, sub 10-minute clears. Duality alliance for limiting many of the same people in many raids. Unlimited heavy kills. Fresh accounts, fewer than 5 total clears on their account. And this person with 315 kills, 4 deaths, 2 assists. A KD ratio of 78.75. One of these things is not like the other. Where do you think they turned on the cheats? Can you tell? Can you tell when they turned it on?
There's paid armor that turns players invisible. There's rewards not being granted, soft locks in multiple places in the game, and people losing access to paid content and stores, and the list of things goes on. And then came even more frustration because Bungie also seemed to remove aspirational loot from the reward pool. They seemingly made it paid instead. So that was a shit show. Of course, it's one they had to fix as well after a bunch of backlash. And, I mean, we haven't even talked about the Star Wars-themed expansion controversy in this video. So in short, right? It's been a bad time, and the man in charge during the development of all of this just quit. But it's more than just that he quit. It's some of the context and also some of the incentives. Bungie CEO...
Well, it's really, really tough for a game based on playing with friends when that becomes uncool or cringe. Like, peer pressure is a powerful thing in the games industry, both helping a game and hurting a game. Like, when your game is cool and it's popping off, like Helldivers when it launched, everybody's hopping on, everybody wants to play it because it's the thing. Everybody's hopping on together. But when a game becomes uncool, you end up with like a Concord, where it's like nobody wants to invest in that universe or in that platform. Nobody wants to do that because none of their friends will want to either. So it's added baggage and it's sort of like an albatross around each and every player's neck when they're trying to get into the game. And in the case of Destiny, it seems like it's steadily becoming worse and worse. And me, as somebody that's not actively playing Destiny, I've tried it on numerous occasions. But as somebody that's like not deep in the community or anything. For me, I feel like every time I hear something about Destiny, it's something worse. The one exception to that being the Final Shape, which obviously did quite well. But beyond that, it feels like every time I hear anything about Destiny 2, it's bad news.
Is gone. Pete Parsons gets to walk away from all of this chaos. Someone else can deal with the consequences of the company's actions during his tenure. In a blog post at the end of August, Parsons announced this departure. He had 20 years at Bungie, and he said that he decided to pass the torch. But the timing is kind of interesting. You see, he's leaving 3 years and 1 month after Bungie's acquisition by PlayStation, and that may just align with stock options maturing from that sale. And that's something clearly in the minds of the staff whom he fired.
Yeah, to be clear, just in case you're not familiar with how these things typically work, typically when a company is bought out by another company, there's of course payouts to the company itself, like if to the shareholders, people who own the stocks or the shares of the company that's being bought. But for executive leadership, there's usually also incentives. It's why I think like Todd probably got a massive payout after the ZeniMax deal. Similar to a lot of other people in the company as well, to be fair. But in this case, like if PlayStation buys the studio right here, and this is when it's announced that they're spending $3.7 billion on Bungie. Typically what they'll do is they want the leadership that in their eyes have made the company successful to this point. They want them to stay. So what they do is they don't want you to quit the moment that this deal clears, because then the company they bought is not the same company anymore. So what they do is they set up like certain timelined incentives to get people to stay and to get them to work hard and continue delivering. So after like 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years, there's going to be different benefits. Maybe it's here you can you get a stock option reward worth like 1 million. This year you get a $5 million stock option package, and then here you get $10 million worth of stock options that you can redeem at that point. And then at this point, this is your final payout, and you can leave after 3 years. Because after 3 years, you should have built up the company and prepared as like successor and all of that. It seems like all this time passed, and the moment he hit this point, he got the stock options and ran. And the way the stock options work is typically it's like you're allowed to buy 1 million shares at whatever it is, $25 a share or something. But currently the stock market is trading those shares for maybe $100. Forgot a one. $100. So effectively the gap between these is 75, and that's just pure profit to you. That's where the value of it comes in. So you have to pay 25 for the share, but you can turn around immediately and sell it for 100 if you want. Typically, that's not what executives will do. They'll go to a bank. The bank will lend them the money for the $25 a share to buy 1 million of them, because they probably don't have 25 million in cash. But the company that's lending them the money to buy those shares for $25 a piece, they are valuing it as an asset at $100 a share, because that's what it's worth. So they'll give them basically a loan where maybe they pay them out 75 million, and then they hold those million shares as collateral. Or they'll give them the 100 million, and then they hold the shares as collateral, even though they don't sell them at that moment, because that would have tax implications and all of that. Really fancy way of just saying there's a convoluted way that this works, but in like effect, it's worth, a huge chunk of change, right? And it seems like this very conveniently happened right after a big calendar anniversary after the purchase of the deal purchase of the company goes through. And so that's why you're doing it. And they don't pay income tax. Well, yeah, you don't pay income tax on loans. It's why if you refinance your house and you take $100,000 out or whatever, you don't pay tax on that. So if you have assets and then you take loans out against your assets, you don't pay tax on it. It's why you can have, a billionaire that has $1 billion of Amazon stock or something, who basically doesn't pay any tax, because he's just taking loans out against things that he owns. It's why, like, if you want real money, you don't earn it, you borrow against it, if that makes sense. It's a whole thing.
acted with barely disguised venom on social media. Say ex-social media manager Griffin Bennett had a particularly sharp response. He just said, vested stock cleared, damage done, but hey, we're all a family, right, Pete? You see,
Yeah. Dude, it drives me crazy when an executive leaves like this and everybody knows what he's doing. It's like, I ran the company into the ground and everyone hates me and the company's failing, but I got my stock options. Bye. Everybody knows that's what's happening. But every damn time that they do this, they're like, we've built a company that I'm proud of and we've come together and established a legacy for our customers that they will talk about for years and years to come. It's like, get out of here, dude. Get out of here. Like, shut up. Nobody cares. Yeah.
Back in December 2023, insiders were worrying about something. They essentially thought the leadership at Bungie were preparing to cut and run after the launch of Marathon.
Yeah.
Obviously, the launch of Marathon did not happen when anyone thought it would, especially at the time of those leaks. And what it looks like is that even if that was the plan, while Marathon may have been delayed, Parsons' exit was certainly not delayed in line with the game. So to understand this, let's go back to 2021. Staff framed Parsons as slow to act on toxic work culture allegations. They sent direct letters to him, and his intentions were supposedly good, better than some others of Bungie leadership, but ultimately, he didn't really react fast enough.
I genuinely don't remember if I met him or not. I genuinely don't remember. When I was out at the studio in, what was that, early May, I think? Maybe April? I don't remember. I know executives at the studio were there. I don't remember if I met him, though. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Didn't make much of an impact.
But this was just the start. What followed next? Well, the multi-project incubation period that sapped resources, the sale to PlayStation, disastrous monetization demands being placed on the Destiny team. All of this stuff harms developer and player sentiment, and I think most dangerously, it put players and developers against each other. And when that sort of thing starts to happen, game communities can just enter a death spiral. But then came the endless stream of layoffs both before and following the final shape. Because hey, congratulations, you did the final shape, people seem to have loved it, and your reward is already planned layoffs. Epic.
Yep.
Now add to this the woes of this summer, and just before that, the entire Marathon saga that played out. It's a lot. Now, look, to be clear, Parsons isn't directly responsible for everything that went bad. He's not the guy individually, unilaterally making choices about systems or skin implementation, right? Maybe he'll be a tiebreaker between some of his leads, something like that.
Well, as the leader, like at some point, it lands on your desk, like you're still responsible. Like if he wanted to step in and be like, no, we're not doing any of this. He has the power to unilaterally demand that, and then they stop it. He could do that. Obviously he didn't, because it happened. So what seems to have happened is that there were probably certain demands and expectations, as time went by. So, for example, over the course of this timeline that we kind of broke down here, very expertly and visually stimulatingly, there were certain like demands and expectations put on the team where they needed to hit certain goals at 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. And they needed to maintain certain revenue targets. So for example, if the revenue target was like, you need to grow at 5% per year as this time goes on. And the revenue for Bungie in general is maybe up like this and occasionally dips below, but the trend line should be roughly in line with that, right? What seems pretty clear as was happening was that they were missing those targets significantly. There was a story like a year and a half, 2 years ago, that Bungie was missing revenue targets by as much as 50% at certain points, which means that their trend line was not like this. They were down like here. So I think what happened was they started desperately trying to boost those numbers so the executives could keep their stock options, because if they didn't hit targets, they wouldn't get to vest these options the same way, or as profitably. So they just started to try and, squeeze blood from a stone. They started really pushing the monetization as far as they possibly could, literally knowing that it's going to drive the company and the game into a pit. But they didn't care because they knew we just have to make it to 3 years and then I'm out. And that's where this all goes bad. And it's why, the Bungie deal, I still insist, will go down in history as one of the biggest blunders in all of gaming history. It was not worth $3.7 billion And the way that they structured it was like masterfully done to lead to this exact result. You know, it really is crazy.
But he exemplified the company culture. His decisions led to layoffs. Those layoffs left teams struggling. We know, as an example, struggling to run QA. So if you're a player finding, wow, there's a lot of bugs, what's going on here? Maybe that would have something to do with it. And with all that bad news, it's no wonder that Bungie couldn't retain experience. So, at worst, he is indirectly responsible for the company's state, but obviously, as CEO, yeah, he was responsible. But here's something. If Parsons is indirectly responsible for the company's state, what's curious is that his successor will not have the same role. Bungie's new leader is a man called Justin Truman, and you might remember him from some of our previous coverage. We talked about his infamous GDC presentation on sustainable live service development. You might remember a quote, which is, "Beware of over-delivery." Obviously, Destiny players felt that they had been under-delivered to for quite a while, so it obviously fired away as...
What an insane thing to say. Beware of over-delivering. It's crazy. It's funny because it reminds me of almost an exact same sentiment that was echoed from internal documents that leaked out of Apple. I don't know if you guys saw those, but there was a report that came out with leaked documents and emails from Apple's executive suite. And we've all had like a thought for a long time that Apple was intentionally delivering phones and creating products that were like not as good as the Android competition in terms of features, because that would be expensive. And so they kept the feature set lower so that they could increase margins and profits. And literally they have emails that leaked exactly like that, which said like word for word, it was like, yeah, the person emailing, I think, was from the supply chain side or the finance side. And they were like, yeah, just if only tech bros are going to care about a feature, don't put it in the phone. It's like, bro, you're intentionally being like, yeah, we're not going to make the best phone we can because that's going to be expensive. So don't even bother with it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And, you know, it was echoed across the board. There was the AI team that worked on Siri and put it in an order that was approved by Tim Cook, the CEO of the company. And they put it in order for like $50 billion or something of AI chips they needed for Siri work they were doing. And the finance team within Apple shut it down and looked, no, just figure out how to use the stuff you already have. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. That's too expensive. Don't do that. Don't over deliver. You know, it's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. And that's the same thing that he's saying here. He's like, don't over deliver. Give customers just enough, not too much. Because if you give too much, your profitability drops and that doesn't work. It's this mindset that kills companies. And that's the guy that they just put in charge of Bungie after Pete left, who wasn't doing a great job to begin with. You know, it's not like, oh, they were doing phenomenally well, let's put somebody worse in place. No, dude, they were already struggling. They put a guy in that seems like the most corporate hack ever. It's crazy.
As a meme, it became kind of typical, an example of everything that people thought was wrong and going bad with Bungie. In reality, what he said in the talk was far more nuanced, and I guess the easiest way, albeit crude, is to just say, he was basically saying, don't blow your load. That's kind of it. Now, he actually...
Let me see. Oops, I accidentally dropped the volume. Oh God, isn't this the beware of over delivery guy? I mean, it is a soundbite. Soundbites go viral because it's a quick little tidbit that gives you a piece of or a nugget of truth that is very interesting or revealing. Leanna replied to it and said, watch the full talk. The internet massively took that out of context. It's a complicated convo that had very small part of it clipped out of context. That talk was actually very good. I thought it was a very interesting talk. I watched it. Maybe you guys know, did we watch it on stream or did I watch that in the shower? I watched GDC talks in the shower. Not really watch, I listened to them. But did we watch it on the stream? I don't remember if we did it on a stream or if I did it privately. But it is a genuinely interesting discussion. But like I think it's fair to mention him as like the beware of over delivery guy. Like I think that's probably fair. I don't think so. Maybe we watch that sometime. We could do that. That could be funny. It is an interesting talk, genuinely, because if you want to know how live service stuff works and how these games get built and the sort of economics of it, it is genuinely interesting. But it is like, I think it's fair to say, yeah, he's saying don't like do too much because then profitability drops, you know, which is true.
He was basically
But it's also perfectly representative of the problems with Destiny right now, which is that people feel like they are being so reserved with what they do to maintain profitability or to lower costs that the product is suffering significantly.
Basically saying, don't blow your load. That's kind of it. Now, he actually engaged with the criticism of that meme when it came to accepting his new role, and what's interesting is that ex-staff weren't actively hostile to his appointment, which I think does suggest it could be a step up at least. But here's the thing, he is replacing Pete Parsons, but his new role is not that of Chief Executive Officer. He instead will be Bungie's studio head. Now, this may seem like some semantics, but I think it represents the most fundamental shift at Bungie in years. The reason why is simple. It suggests that Bungie's independence is ending under PlayStation. Yeah. That's a threat that's loomed over them for a long-ass time. It's obvious that now it's coming true. And even before Parsons announced his departure, PlayStation were closing in, and they weren't doing it sneakily. Sony CFO Lin Tao explained this to investors in early August, where he said, quote, "We have gone through structural reform as we announced last year." And then he added the crucial bit of information, quote, "This independence is getting lighter, and Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more part of PlayStation Studios."
I know people have made a big deal of this. I find it so baffling that people are surprised by it. Like, they were missing revenue targets by 50%. That's crazy. I mean, literally, it's like if I bought a widget for $80. I'm like, okay, sell this for $100 for me. Go. We spent $80 on it. You're going to sell it for $100, 20% or $20 profit. That's great. And then you come back to me like, I sold it for $50. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Now, that doesn't work. You don't get to do that. Like, then you would have a tough job, trying to justify why you should keep your job to me if you're consistently doing that for years at a time. After I bought out your company for $3.7 billion, So I don't find this shocking at all. I mean, I'm like, yeah, clearly the leadership is, in the pure sense of the word, people throw around the term incompetent a lot, but they are not competent in the sense that they are not seemingly capable of delivering on the basic goals and financial goals of the company that have been set out before them. Like, it's pretty straightforward. They can't do it, so they shouldn't be treated as if they are. Like, if you can't do what you said you could do, then you lose your job. Like, it's not that crazy.
Yeah, so integration is proceeding. The independence of Bungie is going away. And obviously, this followed the 2024 restructuring, where PlayStation moved 12% of Bungie, which is 155 roles, directly into SIE, which is...
Yeah, they restructured a ton of it. Let's see, unrealistic goals. Well, that's a part of it, but that's also why the $3.7 billion price tag never made any sense at all. Because if... they were valued at $3.7 billion, pretty clearly based on projections and revenue projections that Bungie did for them, saying, hey, Destiny's going to make this much, Marathon will make this much. This is why we're valued at this point, at this level. And Sony seemingly agreed with that valuation for some reason, because Jim Ryan had a passion for overspending quite clearly. And so as a result, they set up all of these financial targets and stuff that were not possible and were not viable, and now we see the results of it, and they're struggling to hit those targets, which they never were going to hit, seemingly, because they were kind of framed in a way that boosted the value and the purchase price of Bungie, but that led to grossly unrealistic expectations for what they could actually deliver. And I mean, that's just it's why you really need to do your homework before you buy a company for $3.7 billion. It's just crazy.
Sony Interactive Entertainment. Those people then formed Team LFG, and they're currently working on a live service MOBA, which is one of the things that came out of Bungie's incubation period. Anyway, they also formed the Creative Studios team supporting live service development, which obviously makes a lot of sense when you know that PlayStation really wanted those live services. Now, before that, well, Sony's incoming CEO visited Bungie, and when he did, he praised the staff, but he said there was, quote, room for improvement. Not necessarily on the staff. No, his room for improvement was specifically regarding business expenses and accountability for development timelines.
Yeah, Hiroki Totoki, he is the head honcho now at Sony. I'm pretty sure he's the guy that got Jim Ryan to leave, and he's hardcore. He's really, really hardcore. And in his own words, he was asked in an interview, it's my fun little Hiroki Totoki anecdote. He was asked, what is like your thing? What's your focus when you are looking at the finances of any company and your operating expenses, all that? What's the thing that you are all about? And he says, margins. Margins. You know how you increase margins? You either increase the money you're bringing in, which is easier said than done, or you cut the fat. You cut the bloat. You cut the dead weight. And that seems to be what he's looking to do all over the place, which is why he came in, looked at PlayStation. PlayStation, as a subdivision of Sony, was at 6% margin. And at this point in the generation, when they were having this conversation, that margin was supposed to be double that or even triple that. It's at 12 or 20%. For every dollar you make, you should be pocketing 20 cents. They were only pocketing 6 cents on the dollar. Horribly mismanaged. You're off by half or like a third. Like, what are you doing? And so he came in, he cleaned house, booted a bunch of the executive suite out, and Jim Ryan happened to retire right around that time. But sure, it was a coincidence. He just retired. I think he was welcomed to leave, frankly. And he came in and he looked at Bungie and was like, yeah, you guys should be doing a lot more in a lot shorter time, and you shouldn't be this wasteful. Like, we should figure this out.
Certainly sounds like a bit of a threat. And those are the types of failures that staff are not responsible for. They're the sorts of things management is responsible for. And now, Bungie has no CEO. The leadership will report directly to PlayStation. And it's a PlayStation that's different. One that is shifted towards cheaper, faster game development with more central oversight. Because they essentially realized, oh dear, we put a lot of chips into Concord, and we really didn't monitor the quality of that, did we? So you might be wondering, is this better for Bungie? It's weird, right? Because we don't know. You don't know. None of us know. Because, like, the future hasn't happened yet. And also, game development has a lot of lag time. Parsons left at the end of August, but we're still going to feel the impact of his leadership, I suppose his and his team's plans, for a long time. Now, if we're to assume that Truman has the best of intentions, which I am happy to do, well, it's also the case that he's likely under a hell of a lot of pressure because he now needs to deliver change for both Destiny and Marathon, both of which are extremely embattled. And he's working with a studio that is now bled of its senior talent via multiple rounds of layoffs, and also dealing with fans that are rightly not happy and rightly not trusting. Meanwhile, production patterns and product offerings keep on changing. Look at the different iterations of, like, seasonal yearly content that Destiny has had. Look at how Marathon is being forced to change by a market that, well, is, I think, quite literally demanding change of it. Though, of course, none of this will be news to Truman, because he's been the Chief Development Officer since 2022. Before that, he was Destiny's General Manager, and he switched roles right as the chaos began with the Lightfall expansion. He's been part of the decision-making since then, and he still is now. So the question is simple. Do he and PlayStation actually have a plan? At the very least, PlayStation can be pleased about something, and that's licensed revenue from Destiny Rising. What's Destiny Rising? Well, it's a mobile game with gacha elements, so yeah, it's bringing in the money. And as we've covered, that's where a lot of the industry's money comes from now. And by most accounts, NetEase used their blank slate with making this Destiny spin-off game actually quite well. They supposedly made a passable Destiny campaign. Players were satisfied enough until, of course, they hit the end game and the gacha and power and all of that began to rear its head. But still, it brought in some happy numbers. PlayStation will like that. And PlayStation now treats Marathon as their investor marketing centerpiece. We see that from recent accounts of them saying that things have improved with the game, talking about features added like proximity chat, that the mission system rewards players better, that the UI and UX has got significant improvements, that they've, of course, removed the plagiarized art. All of those things to rehab its image and, again, tell the investor story that they need to tell. But there is a simple enough fact. Marathon will arrive late to the extraction shooter party. You see, both Escape from Tarkov and Arc Raiders will hit their own version 1.0s first. But when Marathon arrives, it may have a shot of success. Bungie can still deliver cool things from time to time, undoubtedly. But the problem, Bungie will deliver Marathon under, to be charitable, let's just call them unenviable conditions, just like they have with Destiny. And when you look at Destiny right now, you do see that it ain't working. The future of Bungie then? Well, in theory, more PlayStation engagement.
Yeah, I mean, they're not in a great spot. I think that there's little possibility or little chance that Bungie is like shut down. I don't see that happening. It's pretty clear PlayStation values their expertise pretty highly. So I don't think they're going to like, okay, we're shutting down Bungie, moving on. I don't think that happens. I think that they'll keep them open. Even if it becomes like as a support studio or stuff, they'll keep them open. But I think that they know that they have a lot of talent there, which they clearly do. It seems like most of Bungie's issues have come from the management side. I just choked on my own throat. From the management side and from other more broad, like, directorial choices. But absolutely, like, PlayStation is changing their approach a lot. A lot. And I think for potentially the better. Like, there's been discussions of, like, the stuff with Fair Game $. where the founder of the studio left shortly after a leaked or rumored, well, it was reported on, so I guess reported on playtest, which evidently didn't go that well. And it's like, okay, so they had a playtest and they're making choices and changing things based on a playtest. That apparently didn't happen for Concord at all. Like they just put it out. So they're changing how they handle things at the very least and trying to avoid Concord level disasters by getting feedback early and often and making changes based on that feedback, which is ultimately all we've been asking for. If you're going to do the live service thing, at least ask for feedback and then make changes based on the feedback to deliver on what you're trying to do. So I think they're making the right steps, but it still is an uphill battle because live service is not easy.
It means more oversight. So if you miss your development targets, yeah, you're not reporting to Pete Parsons who can spin it to Sony. No, you're going to be answering to PlayStation directly. The same goes for missed revenue targets. And if that leads to more layoffs with the same delivery expectations, then Bungie will just have to face the worst of all worlds. One where they can only be punished, where the fruits of their labor will be privatized and, they'll get laid off if something doesn't go well. The sorts of mercenary decision-making we've seen from a lot of these companies. But if we're trying to stay grounded and stay with the perspective that most people are the hero of their own story, that are, at least through their own narrative, actually trying, well, we can think about a statement from Totoki to investors. The one basically of Bungie devs always having had talent and always wanting to deliver for players. He could see that. And a lot of the sort of veiled or not so veiled threats from PlayStation, they were always about management. And when you look at some of the other big games, yeah, Sony does seem to have a better handle on what a quality video game is, for all their faults, than say Microsoft does. It seems the failure of Concord truly shocked PlayStation into waking up, honestly, and that seems to be what has made them completely okay with delaying Marathon, which I'm sure the older PlayStation wouldn't have wanted to do. Certainly the PlayStation that looked at Concord and thought, absolutely, we'll yeet that one out. I'm sure it'll go well. We're PlayStation. Look how photoreal these characters are. The gamers and the people will love it. So in the good timeline, we get a PlayStation that holds leadership accountable, that stops Bungie leadership hiding behind their company's somewhat greater than average independence within the PlayStation roster of studios. If that accountability is there and the incentives are aligned, then maybe there is hope. Maybe Bungie can catch their breath. Maybe even they can take the time to rebuild. Doing that will be hard. And the likes of Destiny is a live game with a profoundly disappointed player base, one whose cynicism does feel rational and does not feel jaded, because they've genuinely had a very goddamn bizarre time. This story's basically been game development where so much of everything goes wrong. But if you want to see the literal opposite of that, a game free from so many of the things that just, be it indie, AA, or AAA, just kill projects, watch this video next. It's about Team Cherry, and I think you'll really like it.
Silk Song! Yeah, good video breaking it down. I think that the truth of the matter is that Bungie has been mismanaged for a very long time, and PlayStation was also mismanaged for, in my opinion, about we'll give it 4 years, through Jim Ryan's tenure. And when you have two terrible managers in charge, you're going to end up with, and those two managers are working together, you're going to end up with a lot of messy decisions and a lot of bad decisions and a lot of mistakes. And that seems to have been what happened here, where on the one hand, like, you can say who's responsible for the overpayment of Bungie from PlayStation. And it's kind of both. Like, the CEO of Bungie should not overpromise knowing that they can't deliver that to get a higher payout price. There's even the potential that could lead to legal ramifications if there's a paper trail, but like, they shouldn't overpromise what they can do. And on Sony's part, they shouldn't be willing to just throw $3.7 billion at one company that makes, as of right now, one game, with the promise that in the future they might have other games that are going to be big. And we super duper triple dog promise that it's going to be the next big thing. Like, across the board, everybody was making mistakes all the way through it. And now they're dealing with all the consequences of it. I think most likely the outcome is going to be that, that probably Marathon launches and is just kind of like, bloop. Like, I think it'll come out. There will be some players who are interested in it. I don't think it's going to pop off. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't expect it to like blow up and have 200,000 concurrents or anything. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near a Destiny 2 level success. I think believing that it was ever going to be like that was kind of delusional. But I think that that will happen. It probably doesn't beat out Arc Raiders. And after that, they're going to continue seeing Destiny 2 kind of falling lower and lower and lower, and they'll just continue to put more and more resources into Marathon. And I think Marathon maybe climbs the ladder as time goes by after more expansions, more maps, and they build it out some more. It maybe has a longer tail and can start to recover on the back end a little bit more. But They are in a tough spot. There's no doubt about it. The saving grace is that there are phenomenally talented people at Bungie who really know what they're doing. And the hope is that they can just get leadership and they can get direction that takes advantage of that talent. You know, that's the hope. That's the hope. But we'll see. We'll see soon enough. Because there's rumors that we might even be hearing something about Marathon in the next month and a half or so. Maybe around November is the expectation, but we'll see. Best case scenario, they end up like the extraction shooter made by Control devs. FBC Firebreak or whatever. I think it'll be bigger than that. I mean, FBC Firebreak just kind of disappeared. I think it'll be bigger than that because it does have a lot of name recognition. There's a lot of curiosity with it too. But I as for like, does it pop off? Does it become like Tarkov and it has its own massive community? That I genuinely don't know, but I wouldn't expect it. Like, I would not be betting my own money on it, much less spending $3.7 billion on it, you know? Let's see. Let me catch up on these real quick. T-Bone, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, talking about the giveaway, can you post the results in the Discord when it's announced for the people who have missed the stream? Yeah, we can do that. Typically, well, what we did last time was we did the drawing, we announced the winner, and then what happens is the winner gets contacted. They get like an email to the email they signed up for the giveaway with, and then they like are asked, do you accept the prize or whatever? And then they get to say yes. And if they say yes, they provide their shipping address and all that stuff. We can coordinate it. And what I asked the last winner if he wanted to do was to send me a picture of him when he got the PS5 or PS5 Pro. And then we could take a picture of it and, you know, share it with people. Be like, see, he won it. He got it. But yeah, we'll make sure that the winner gets contacted and knows that they won. So don't worry about that. Don't you worry about that. Don't worry. I think it was Ryan, I think was his name, who won it last time. It's pretty cool. Caleb, thank you for the 5. I watched GDC talks in the shower. That little nugget of info is getting saved for my Luke/Todd slasher fic. Sweet. Hey Luke, can you make sure I win? I'll see what I can do. Now, if you win, dude, people are gonna be like, oh, he rigged it. Even though there's like a 1 in 60,000 chance, but still. Okay. Akitsu, thank you for the sub, by the way. Thank you. And Quasar Cowboy, thank you for the sub over on Twitch as well. Luke, what brand is your mouse pad? I believe this is just a gigantic Corsair. It's like the XXL or XXXL. It's like the biggest one that they sell. Because I'm big like that. So, yeah. Let's see. I read that one. Oh, you say Maddie just did an interview? Oh yeah, look at that. Judas Bombshell. New details and BioShock 4's future. Ken Levine opens up. So Maddie did an interview with Ken Levine. Ooh. Interesting. Well, we don't have time to check it out today, and I wouldn't want to step on the video. So I will, I'll recommend you guys go check it out. Maybe we check this out on Wednesday's stream after it's had time to perform a little bit. And we check that out. That could be really, really cool. That'd be really cool. So, yeah, sweet. I'll be interested. Maybe I'll listen to that in the shower. I don't know. Sammy, also thank you for the membership, my friend. Okay, fam, I gotta go watch the kids because my wife has to go to the dentist. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for rocking and rolling. You guys are amazing. We will be back in a day or two, and I will look forward to doing that. Luke, will you play Yote? Will I play Yote? I've been playing Yote, my friend. I will have a video up on the 1st, I believe. So yes, I've been playing it, and I will have a video up, an I tried video up. So just you wait. Yes, I have thoughts. ... Just you wait. Passionate thoughts. Until next time, my friends. Much love. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.